Dr. Elena Martinez walked through the busy medical bay of the UHS sanctuary. The large white room was full of beds. Each bed held someone who was hurt badly. Some were humans with burns on their arms and legs. Others were tall blue aliens called Eltarians with broken bones. A few small gray creatures called vegans lay still with bandages around their heads. Elena stopped at bed number 47. A young Eltarian woman lay there with her eyes closed. Her blue skin looked pale and sick. The machines next to her bed made soft beeping sounds. Elena checked the numbers on the screen. The woman's heart was beating too fast. "How is she doing?" asked Nurse Beth Collins. Beth was a short woman with red hair tied back in a tight knot. She had been working for 12 hours straight, but still looked ready to help more patients. "Better than yesterday," Elena said. "Her body is fighting the infection. The medicine is working." She touched the woman's forehead gently. "She will." "Leave?" Beth smiled. "That makes 32 lives saved this week," Elena nodded. The sanctuary was a hospital ship that traveled through space. It was painted white with big red crosses on the sides. Everyone in the galaxy knew what those red crosses meant. They meant the ship was neutral. It helped anyone who was hurt, no matter what side they fought for. In the war. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers in the ceiling. "Dr. Martinez, please come to the bridge." Elena walked through the long hallways of the ship. The walls were clean and white. Soft lights showed the way. She passed more medical rooms filled with patients. The ship carried 847 sick and hurt people from 12 different planets. The bridge was at the front of the ship. Large windows showed the black space outside with tiny stars like diamonds. Captain Morrison stood looking out at the stars. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes, but Elena could see worry on his face. "What's wrong, Jake?" Elena asked. Morrison turned around. "We got a message from both sides of the war. The vegans want us to save their soldiers first. The Eltarians say we should help their people before anyone else." Elena crossed her arms. "You know my answer to that." "I do. But they're both threatening to attack us if we don't listen to them." Elena felt angry. The sanctuary followed simple rules. Help the person who was hurt the worst first. It didn't matter if they were human, vegan, Eltarian, or any other species. A life was a life. "Tell them both the same thing," Elena said. "We follow medical rules, not political ones. The person who needs help the most gets help first." Morrison smiled a little. "I already did. They didn't like it. Too bad for them," Elena said. She looked out at the stars. "We have a job to do. We save lives. That's it." Just then, Communications Officer Lisa Park turned around in her chair. Lisa was young with black hair and quick fingers that danced over her control panel. "Captain, we're getting a distress call." "From who?" Morrison asked. "A cargo ship called the Star Trader. They say they're carrying medical supplies to Colony 7. Their engine is broken, and they're losing air." Elena and Morrison looked at each other. Colony 7 was a small settlement with mostly families and children. If their medical supplies didn't arrive, people would die. "How far away are they?" Morrison asked. 2 hours if we change course now," Lisa said. Elena thought about their patients on the ship. Most were stable now. They could wait 2 hours. But the people on Colony 7 couldn't wait much longer for their medicine. "We have to help them," Elena said. Morrison nodded. "Lisa, change our course. Tell the Star Trader we're coming." "Yes, sir," Lisa said. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. Engineer Tony Garcia's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, changing course now will use more fuel. We'll have enough to reach the next station, but not much extra." "Understood, Tony," Morrison said. "Sometimes you have to take risks to save lives," Elena smiled. This was why she liked working with Jake Morrison. He understood that being a doctor meant helping people, even when it was dangerous or hard. The ship turned in space, heading toward the Star Trader. Elena went back to check on her patients. The young Altarian woman was awake now. Her blue eyes looked up at Elena with gratitude. "Thank you," the woman whispered in broken English. "You're welcome," Elena said. "Rest now. You're safe here." As Elena walked away, she didn't know that the distress call was not real. She didn't know that dangerous people were waiting for them. She only knew that somewhere in space, people needed help, and that was enough reason to risk everything. 2 hours later, the sanctuary dropped out of warp speed. Through the big windows on the bridge, they could see the Star Trader floating in space. The cargo ship looked broken. Parts of it were twisted and bent. White gas was leaking out of holes in its side. "There it is," Captain Morrison said. He stood with his hands behind his back, studying the damaged ship. "Looks bad." Navigator Amy Chun looked at her screens with worry. Amy was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that caught details others missed. "Captain, something feels wrong about this." "What do you mean?" Morrison asked. "Look at where we are," Amy said. She pointed to her navigation screen. "This area of space is empty. No trade routes go through here. Why would a cargo ship be way out here?" "Doctor." Elena Martinez had come to the bridge to see the damaged ship. She looked at the Star Trader through the windows. "Maybe they got lost, or maybe pirates chased them here." "Maybe," Amy said. But she still looked worried. Communications Officer Lisa Park pressed buttons on her control panel. "Star Trader, this is the UHS Sanctuary. We're here to help. How many people are on your ship?" A rough voice came through the speakers. "Sanctuary, thank goodness you came. We have 23 crew members. Some are hurt bad. Our engine exploded, and we're losing air fast." Elena nodded to Morrison. "We need to get them off that ship quickly." Morrison spoke into his microphone. "Star Trader, we're moving closer. Prepare for emergency evacuation." The sanctuary moved slowly toward the damaged cargo ship. Elena went back to the medical bay to get ready for new patients. Nurse Beth Collins was already preparing empty beds and medical equipment. "How many are coming?" Beth asked. 23, Elena said. "Some with injuries. Could be burns from the engine explosion." Beth nodded and called for more medical staff to help. Back on the bridge, Navigator Amy Chun was still studying her screens. Something about the Star Trader bothered her, but she couldn't figure out what it was. Suddenly, the space around the sanctuary filled with light. Ship after ship appeared out of nowhere. They had been hiding invisible, waiting for the hospital ship to come close. "Trap!" Amy shouted. "It's a trap!" Captain Norrison's face went hard. "Battle stations!" "All hands, prepare for—" "Don't bother," came a new voice through the speakers. This voice was different from the first one. It was cold and mean. "You're surrounded. Try to run and we'll blow you apart." On the main screen, the face of an alien appeared. He looked like an Altarian, but his blue skin was covered with scars. Metal parts replaced one of his eyes and part of his jaw. This was Vex Krondar, the most feared pirate in 3 star systems. "I am Krondar," the alien said with a nasty smile. "You just flew into my web little hospital ship." Morrison stepped forward. "This is a medical vessel. We're protected by the Galactic Medical Convention. You can't attack us." Krondar laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Laws are for people with honor. I have no honor. I have guns." More pirate ships moved closer to the sanctuary. Elena could see their weapons pointing at her ship. Her heart beat faster, but not from fear. She was angry. These pirates had used a fake distress call to trick them. "What do you want?" Morrison asked. "Everything," Krondar said. "Your medical supplies are worth millions on the black market. Your fancy equipment will make me rich, and some of your patients look very important. Rich families will pay a lot to get them back. Elena felt sick. You can't ransom sick people. They need medical care. They'll get care, Krondar said. After their families pay me, the ones who can't pay. He made a cutting motion across his throat. You're a monster, Elena said. Krondar's scarred face twisted into an angry look. I'm a businessman. You have 1 hour to prepare for boarding. If you try anything stupid, I'll blow holes in your ship. Your patients will die in space. The screen went black. Captain Morrison turned to his crew. Options? Amy Chun shook her head. We're surrounded by 8 ships. They all have heavy weapons. We have medical scanners and emergency shields. We could try to call for help, Lisa Park said. No one is close enough, Morrison replied. It would take days for help to arrive. Elena looked out at the pirate ships. In 1 hour, those criminals would board her ship. They would take her medical supplies and terrorize her patients. Some of those patients were children. Some were so sick they might die from the stress alone. We have to do something, Elena said. Morrison put his hand on her shoulder. Elena, we're doctors and healers, not soldiers. We don't have weapons. Elena looked at him with fire in her eyes. Jake, I didn't become a doctor to watch pirates hurt sick people. There has to be something we can do. Like what? Morrison asked. Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, We're humans, Jake. We come from Earth, a death world. Maybe it's time these pirates learned what that means. Morrison stared at her. In all the years he had known Elena Martinez, he had never seen her look so dangerous. Outside the ship, the pirates were getting ready to board. They had no idea what they were about to face. 50 minutes later, the pirate ships attached to the sanctuary like hungry insects. Elena heard the sound of metal cutting through the ship's outer walls. The pirates were coming inside. She stood in the main medical bay with her hands clenched into fists. Around her, patients lay in their beds, scared and confused. The young Altarian woman, Elena, had been treating looked up with frightened blue eyes. What's happening, doctor? The woman asked. Nothing you need to worry about, Elena said softly. But inside, her heart was pounding with anger. The first pirates burst through the doors. They were big, ugly creatures carrying energy weapons. Their leader was a tall human with scars on his face and metal teeth. He looked around the medical bay and smiled. Well, well, the scarred man said. Look at all this expensive medical equipment and all these rich-looking patients. Elena stepped forward. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, Chief Medical Officer. These people are under my care. They're sick and injured. You can't move them. The scarred pirate laughed. Lady, I can do whatever I want. He pointed his weapon at her. Now get out of my way. More pirates came into the medical bay. They started looking at the equipment and making lists on their computer tablets. Some of them went to the patient beds and started asking questions. You, one pirate said to an elderly vegan in bed 12. What's your name? How much money does your family have? The old vegan was too scared to answer. A pirate grabbed him by the shirt and shook him. The old man's heart monitor started beeping faster. Stop, Elena shouted. He just had heart surgery. You could kill him. Then he better start talking, the pirate said. Elena wanted to help, but 2 other pirates were pointing their weapons at her. She could only watch as they scared her patients. Then the pirates went into the children's ward. Elena heard a child scream. It was a sound that cut through her heart like a knife. She tried to run toward the children's area, but a pirate grabbed her arm. Where do you think you're going? He asked. Those are children, Elena said through clenched teeth. Sick children. Children with rich parents, the pirate said with a nasty grin. More screaming came from the children's ward. Elena heard a little voice crying for help. She tried to pull away from the pirate holding her, but he was too strong. Captain Morrison's voice came through the ship's speakers. All pirates, report to Docking Bay 3. We're beginning the transfer of medical supplies. A scarred pirate. Leader nodded to his men. You heard him. Start moving the good stuff and bring the valuable patients to the cargo bay. As the pirates spread out through the ship, Elena managed to slip away to the children's ward. What she saw there made her blood turn to ice. A small Centauri child, no more than 3 years old, lay on the floor. Her name was Zara, and she had been getting treatment for a rare disease. The machines that kept her alive had been ripped away, so the pirates could steal them. The little girl's big silver eyes looked up at Elena. Her skin was turning blue from lack of oxygen. Doctor, Zara whispered, it hurts. Elena knelt down and picked up the child. But without the life support machines, there was nothing she could do. She held Zara close as the little girl's breathing got slower and slower. Sleep now, sweetheart, Elena whispered. The pain will stop soon. Zara's eyes closed. Her small body went still in Elena's arms. Elena sat on the floor, holding the dead child. Around her, other young patients cried in fear as pirates looked through their medical charts and talked about ransom money. One of the pirates noticed Elena holding the child. Hey, is that one dead? He asked. Elena looked up at him. Her eyes were dry, but they burned with a cold fire. Yes, she said quietly. Oh, well, the pirate said with a shrug. One less mouth to feed. Throw it in the trash. That was when something inside Elena Martinez broke. She stood up slowly, still holding Zara's body. She looked at the pirate who had spoken. When she talked, her voice was calm and steady. You just made a very big mistake, she said. The pirate laughed. What are you going to do about it, Dr. Lady? Give me a shot? Elena gently placed Zara's body on an empty bed. She touched the child's forehead one last time. Then she walked to the wall and pressed a button. Her voice came through the ship's speakers, reaching every room and corridor. Attention all medical staff, Elena said. This is Dr. Martinez. We have a code black situation. Repeat, code black. All personnel, prepare for emergency procedures. The pirates looked confused. They didn't know what code black meant, but every human on the ship knew. Code black was not a real medical code. Elena had just made it up, but the words she said next made her meaning clear. It's time to remind our guests why humans are called Deathworlders. Throughout the ship, the human crew members heard her message. In the engine room, Tony Garcia smiled grimly and started changing the ship's power settings. On the bridge, Amy Chun began reprogramming the navigation computers. In the medical storage room, Beth Collins opened a locked cabinet that didn't contain medicine. The pirates had made a fatal error. They thought they were robbing a helpless hospital ship. They didn't realize they had just declared war on a crew of humans who had nothing left to lose. What happened next surprised everyone, including the pirates. The lights in the medical bay suddenly went out. Emergency red lights came on, making everything look like it was covered in blood. The pirates looked around nervously. What's going on? One of them shouted. Before anyone could answer, white gas started coming out of the air vents. It was anesthetic gas, the same gas doctors used to make patients sleep during surgery. But now Dr. Elena Martinez was using it as a weapon. 3 pirates breathed the gas and fell to the floor, unconscious. The others quickly put on breathing masks, but the gas had already made them dizzy and slowed out in the engine room. Tony Garcia was having fun. He was a short, stocky man who had been an engineer on military ships before joining the sanctuary. The pirates had made one big mistake. They had left him alone with his machines. Tony's fingers moved over the control panels like a musician playing a song. He changed the ship's gravity in different sections. In Corridor 5, the gravity suddenly became 3 times stronger. 2 pirates walking there were crushed to the floor. Unable to move. In Corridor 7, Tony turned off the gravity completely. 4 pirates floated helplessly in the air, spinning and bumping into the walls. "Oops," Tony said with a grin. "Did I do that?" Meanwhile, Nurse Beth Collins was moving through the ship like a ghost. She knew every shortcut and hidden passage in the sanctuary. In her hands, she carried medical tools that could save lives or end them. She found a group of pirates trying to steal expensive surgical equipment. Beth appeared behind them, silent as a shadow. "Excuse me," she said politely. The pirates turned. Around, Beth was holding what looked like a normal medical scanner, but she had changed the settings. Instead of scanning for diseases, it now sent out a pulse that could stop a person's heart. "This is a cardiac scanner," Beth explained calmly. "Normally, I use it to check if your heart is healthy, but I've made some adjustments." She pointed the device at the first pirate and pressed a button. The man grabbed his chest and fell down, his heart beating wildly out of control. He wasn't dead, but he couldn't fight anymore. The other pirates raised their weapons, but Beth was already gone, disappeared into another hidden passage. Back in the children's ward, Elena was no longer the gentle doctor the pirates had met. She moved through the room with cold purpose, using her medical knowledge in ways no textbook had ever taught. A pirate tried to grab a young patient. Elena appeared beside him and pressed something against his neck. It looked like a simple medical injector. "That was a muscle relaxant," Elena said as the pirate fell to the ground, unable to move. "You'll be awake, but you won't be able to hurt anyone for about 6 hours. Another pirate pointed his weapon at Elena. "Stay back or I'll shoot." Elena smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Go ahead, but look around you first." The pirate looked. He was standing next to a large machine that cleaned and recycled the ship's air. Elena had attached some medical equipment to it. "That machine now contains a concentrated dose of truth serum mixed with a paralytic agent," Elena said. "If you damage it, the mixture will spray everywhere. You'll spend the next day telling everyone your deepest secrets while unable to move." The pirate's hand started to shake. On the bridge, Captain Narration was coordinating the counterattack. Navigator Amy Chun had turned the ship's medical scanners into tactical sensors. She could see exactly where every pirate was located. 2 more coming up Corridor 9, Amy reported. "Got it," Morrison said. He pressed a button on his control panel. In Corridor 9, the floor suddenly became very slippery. The pirates' feet went out from under them, and they slid helplessly down the hallway, unable to stop. "Medical-grade lubricant," Morrison explained. To Amy, "We use it for joint surgery. Works great on floors, too." The pirates were learning a terrible lesson. Everything on a human hospital ship could be used as a weapon. The surgical lasers that fixed damaged organs could cut through armor. The machines that monitored patient health could track enemies through walls. Even the food dispensers had been turned into weapons that shot knockout drugs instead of soup got in. The main cargo bay, Vex Krondar was getting angry reports from his pirates. "Sir, we've lost contact with Team 3. Team 5 is trapped in some kind of foam that hardens like concrete. The humans are using their medical equipment against us." Krondar's scarred face twisted with rage. "They're just doctors. How hard can it be to control a bunch of healers?" He was about to find out. Dr. Elena Martinez appeared in the doorway of the cargo bay. She wasn't carrying any visible weapons, just a small medical device in her hand. "Hello, Krondar," she said calmly. "I believe you wanted to meet the chief medical officer." Krondar pointed his energy weapon at her. Your people have been causing trouble. It ends now. Elena walked toward him slowly, not afraid of his weapon. You killed a child, Krondar. A 3-year-old girl who never hurt anyone. So what? Krondar snarled. People die. It's not my problem. You're right, Elena said. It's not your problem anymore. It's mine. She raised the medical device in her hand. Krondar laughed. What's that supposed to be? A toy? It's a bone scanner, Elena said. I use it to find fractures and breaks in bones, but I've made some modifications. She pressed a button. Krondar screamed as every old break and fracture in his body suddenly felt like it was breaking again. The device was sending signals that made his nervous system think all is old. Injuries were fresh and new. Krondar fell to his knees, his weapon forgotten. Make it stop. In a moment, Elena said. First, you're going to call off your pirates. Then you're going to surrender. And then you're going to spend a very long time in prison thinking about what you did to that little girl. The most feared pirate in 3-star systems was crying like a baby, begging a human doctor to make the pain stop. The battle for the sanctuary was almost over. 20 minutes later, it was over. Vex Krondar and his remaining pirates sat in the sanctuary's cargo bay with their hands tied behind their backs. They looked scared and confused. Some had bruises and cuts. Others were still dizzy from the anesthetic. Gas. All of them were very quiet. Dr. Elena Martinez walked among the captured pirates, checking their injuries. Even though they had tried to hurt her patients, she was still a doctor. She couldn't let anyone suffer without medical care. This one has a broken wrist, she told Nurse Beth Collins. And that one probably has a concussion. Beth nodded and brought medical supplies. Should we put them in the medical bay? No, Elena said firmly. They can be treated here. I won't have them near my patients. Captain Morrison entered the cargo bay with Amy Chun and Lisa Park. Morrison looked at the defeated pirates and shook his head. I've been a ship captain for 20 years, he said. I've never seen anything like what you people just did. Elena looked up from bandaging a pirate's arm. We did what we had to do. You turned medical equipment into weapons, Morrison said. That shouldn't be possible. Humans are very good at adapting, Elena replied. We use tools for whatever we need them to do. Krondar, sitting on the floor with his head in his hands, looked up at her. You're all crazy, he said. What kind of doctors fight like soldiers? Elena knelt down, so she was at eye level with the pirate leader. The kind who care about their patients. The kind who won't let criminals hurt innocent people. We didn't know you were human, Krondar said. His voice was shaky. If we had known you were Deathworlders ... you would have done the same thing. Elena finished. You thought we were helpless. You thought being healers made us weak. She stood up and looked down at him. You were wrong. Tony Garcia's voice came through the speakers. Captain, I've got good news and bad news. Give me the bad news first, Morrison replied. The pirate ships are all disabled, but they're not destroyed. Some of them might still have working weapons. And the good news? I've been listening to their radio chatter. Word is already spreading through the pirate networks of what happened here. I don't think anyone will be bothering human medical ships for a long time. Elena smiled a little. Good. Maybe some good will come from this mess. Communications Officer Lisa Park was at her control panel, sending messages to the authorities. I've contacted both the vegan and Altarian governments. She reported. They're sending security ships to pick up the pirates. They should be here in 6 hours. What about the Galactic Medical Convention? Morrison asked. They want a full report, Lisa said. But they're not filing any charges against us. They say we acted in self-defense to protect our patients. Elena felt relief wash over her. She had been worried that using medical equipment as weapons might have broken some laws. But the important thing was that her patients were safe. She left the cargo bay and went back to the medical wards. Many of her patients were awake and worried. They had heard the fighting and were scared. The young Altarian woman, Elena, had been. Treating grabbed her hand when she approached the bed. "Doctor, are we safe now?" the woman asked. "Yes," Elena said gently. "The bad people are gone. You can rest now." But Elena knew she couldn't rest yet. She had one more sad duty to perform. She went to the children's ward, to the bed where little Zara's body lay. The 3-year-old Centauri girl looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. But Elena knew she would never wake up. Nurse Meth found Elena sitting beside the child's bed. "The authorities want to know about casualties," Meth said softly. "One," Elena said. "One too many." Beth put her hand on Elena's shoulder. "It wasn't your fault. There was nothing you could have done." "I know," Elena said. But the words didn't make the pain go away. 6 hours later, ships from 3 different governments arrived to take away the pirates. Krondar and his crew would be put on trial for attacking a medical vessel and causing the death of a patient. As the security ships left with their prisoners, Captain Morrison found Elena on the observation deck. She was looking out at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. "The authorities want to give us medals," Morrison said. Elena didn't turn around. "I don't want a medal for what we did today." "Why not? You saved the ship. You saved all our patients." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "We're supposed to be healers, Jake. Today we had to become something else. I don't know if I like what we became." Morrison stood beside her. "Elena, sometimes protecting the innocent means fighting the evil. That doesn't make us less human. It makes us more human." Elena finally looked at him. "Do you really believe that?" "I do," Morrison said. "And I think little Zara would have wanted us to protect the other children, even if it meant fighting." Elena nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right." The next day, the sanctuary continued on its mission. But now other ships in space treated them differently. When they sent medical assistance requests, everyone was very polite. Pirates who heard about the human hospital ship stayed far away. Elena was back to being a gentle doctor, caring for her patients with kindness and skill. But everyone who met her could see something different in her eyes. They could see the strength that came from knowing she would do anything to protect the people under her care. The galaxy had learned an important lesson: never mess with the Deathworlder's hospital ship. 3 weeks after the pirate attack, the UHS Sanctuary was back to its normal routine. Dr. Elena Martinez walked through the medical bays, checking on patients and talking softly with her staff. The ship was peaceful again, filled with the quiet sounds of healing. But things were different now. Elena noticed it first when they docked at Kepler Station for supplies. Usually, station security would board the ship and search through everything. This time, the security chief came alone and asked very politely if they needed anything. "We heard about what happened with Krondar's pirates," the security chief said. He was a big, tough-looking man, but he spoke to Elena with respect. "If you need anything at all, just ask." Elena thanked him, but she felt strange. She was the same person she had always been. She still cared for patients with gentle hands and kind words. But now everyone looked at her differently. Captain Morrison found her in the ship's small garden area. It was a quiet place with earth plants and soft music. Elena often came here when she needed to think. "Penny for your thoughts?" Morrison asked, using an old earth saying. Elena smiled a little. "Just thinking about how things have changed." Morrison sat down beside her on the small bench. "The crew seems more confident now. They know they can handle danger if it comes." "That's good," Elena said, "but I worry about something else." "What?" Elena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, What if we start looking for fights instead of trying to avoid them? What if we become the thing we fought against? Before Morrison could answer, Communications Officer Lisa Park's voice came through the speakers. Captain, we're getting a priority message from the Galactic Medical Convention. Morrison and Elena went to the bridge. On the main screen was Admiral Sarah Knox, head of the Medical Convention Security Division. Admiral Knox was an older woman, with silver hair and serious eyes. Captain Morrison, Dr. Martinez, the Admiral said. I'm calling with an unusual request. What kind of request? Morrison asked. We've been getting reports from all over the galaxy. Medical ships that were being attacked by pirates are now being left alone. The word has spread about what happened to Kronder's crew. Elena felt a mix of pride and worry. That's good news. Isn't it? It is, Admiral Knox said. But now we have a different problem. Some medical ships are asking for human crew members. They want protection. Others are requesting human escort ships. Morrison frowned. We're healers, not soldiers. No, the Admiral said. But the fact is, your actions have made space safer for medical vessels. The convention wants to offer you a special assignment. What kind of assignment? Elena asked. We want you to train other medical crews in defensive techniques. Show them how to protect themselves without giving up their role as healers. Elena and Morrison looked at each other. It was a big responsibility. We'll need time to think about it, Morrison said. Of course, Admiral Knox replied. But remember, because of what you did, medical ships all over the galaxy are safer now. That's worth something. After the call ended, Elena went back to her medical duties. She was treating a young vegan soldier who had been hurt in a training accident. The soldier was nervous around humans, which was common since the war. Doctor, the soldier said quietly, is it true what they say about you? What do they say? Elena asked as she checked his bandages. That you defeated Krondar with medical equipment. That humans can turn anything into a weapon. Elena looked at the young soldier's scared face. We're not violent people, she said. Gently, we only fight when we have to protect others. But you are dangerous, the soldier said. Elena thought about that. Yes, she said finally. We can be dangerous when we need to be, but we choose to heal instead of hurt. That's what makes us human. Later that day, Elena was called to the communications room. There was an incoming message, but it wasn't official. It was from another medical ship. The face on the screen belonged to Dr. Kevin Adams, Chief Medical Officer of the HSS Florence Nightingale. Elena had met him at medical conferences. He was a good doctor, but now he looked worried and tired. Elena, thank goodness I reached you, Kevin said. We need your help. What's wrong? Elena asked. We're in the Outer Rim, near the mining colonies. 3 days ago, pirates attacked the medical station at Ceres Base. They killed 2 doctors and stole all the medical supplies. Elena felt anger rising in her chest. Are the doctors' families okay? Yes, but that's not the worst part, Kevin continued. The pirates are demanding ransom for the stolen medicine. There's a plague outbreak in the mining colonies. Without those medical supplies, thousands of people will die. Have you contacted the authorities? Kevin shook his head. The nearest military ships are weeks away. The miners don't have weeks. They need help now. Elena knew what Kevin was really asking. He wanted the sanctuary to come and fight the pirates. But that would mean choosing to look for trouble instead of just defending themselves. Kevin, we're not a warship, Elena said carefully. I know, Kevin replied. But you're the only medical ship in the galaxy that pirates are afraid of. If you came here, maybe they would give back the medicine without a fight. Elena promised to talk to Captain Morrison and give Kevin an answer soon. After the call ended, she sat alone in the communications room, thinking. A soft knock on the moor. door interrupted her thoughts. Nurse Beth Collins came in with a cup of tea. "You look like you need this," Beth said, offering the cup. Elena took the tea gratefully. "Beth, do you think we did the right thing with Krondar?" "Of course we did," Beth said without hesitation. "We saved our patients. But now other people want us to solve their problems too. When does it stop?" Beth sat down across from Elena. "Maybe it doesn't stop. Maybe that's the price of being strong. Enough to help." Elena sipped her tea and thought about Beth's words. She remembered little Zara, the Santori child who had died because of the pirates. She thought about the thousands of miners who would die without medicine. An hour later, Elena found Captain Morrison on the bridge. He was studying star charts and looking troubled. "Let me guess," Elena said. "You talked to Kevin Adams too?" Morrison nodded. "He sent me the details about the situation at Ceres Base. It's bad, Elena. Really bad. So what do we do?" Morrison turned to look at her. "That depends. Are we still just a hospital ship? Or are we something more now?" Elena looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were dying because pirates had stolen their medicine. Somewhere else, other pirates were planning attacks on medical ships because they thought doctors were easy targets. "I think," Elena said slowly, "we became something more the moment we decided to fight back." Morrison smiled. "So we're going to Ceres Base?" "We're going to Ceres Base," Elena confirmed. "But we do this right. We tried to get the medicine back peacefully first. Violence is the last choice, not the first." Morrison nodded and turned to Amy Chun at the navigation station. "Amy, set course for the outer rim. Maximum speed." "Yes, sir," Amy replied, but Elena could see worry in her eyes as the sanctuary changed. Course toward the mining colonies, Elena went back to her patients. She had work to do, people to heal, and maybe, if they were lucky, they could save lives without having to take any. But deep down, Elena knew the galaxy was watching them. Every decision they made would affect how people saw human medical ships. They were no longer just healers. Whether they wanted it or not, they had become symbols of hope for the helpless and fear for those who preyed on the weak. The burden of that responsibility weighed heavy on Elena's shoulders as the ship jumped to warp speed, heading toward whatever waited for them in the darkness between the stars. 2 days later, the sanctuary arrived at Ceres Base. The mining station floated in space like a broken metal flower. Parts of it were dark, where the pirates had damaged the power systems. Emergency lights blinked red in the windows. Dr. Elena Martinez stood on the bridge, looking at the damaged station. Captain Morrison was beside her, studying the scanner readings. "I'm detecting 15 ships near the station," Navigator Amy Chun reported. "They look like pirates, but they're not attacking. They're just waiting." "Waiting for what?" Morrison asked. Communications Officer Lisa Park looked up from her station. "Captain, we're getting a message from the pirate ships." "Put it on screen," Morrison said. The face that appeared was not what Elena had expected. Instead of a rough, scarred pirate, she saw a young woman with sad eyes and clean clothes. The woman looked nervous. "UHS Sanctuary," the woman said. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the independent vessel Free Spirit. Please don't attack us." Elena stepped forward. "We're not here to attack anyone. We're here about the stolen medical supplies." Maria Santos looked relieved. "Dr. Martinez, we heard about what you did to Krondar. The whole galaxy has heard." "Where are the medical supplies?" Elena asked firmly. "We gave them back," Maria said quickly. 3 hours ago. We returned everything." "To the medical station?" Morrison frowned. "If you returned the supplies, why are you still here?" Maria looked embarrassed. "We're waiting for you to leave. We heard that human medical ships destroy pirates. We don't want to fight you." Elena stared. at the screen in surprise. These pirates were afraid of her. They had returned stolen medicine because they were scared of what might happen if they didn't. "Maria," Elena said carefully, "why did you steal the medicine in the first place?" "Because we're hungry," Maria replied, "and desperate. The mining. Companies don't pay workers enough to buy food. Some of us turn to piracy to survive." Elena looked at Morrison. This was not what they had expected to find. "Maria, what if I told you there was a better way to make money than stealing?" Elena asked. "What do you mean?" "Medical ships always need crew members. We need people who know how to handle supplies, fix equipment, and protect patients. The pay is good and the work is honest." Maria's eyes widened. "You would hire pirates?" "I would hire people who want to stop being pirates." Elena corrected. An hour later, Elena and Morrison were on the medical station, meeting with Dr. Kevin Adams and the station director. The director was a small man named Carl Murphy, who looked very tired. "Dr. Martinez," Carl said, "I can't thank you enough. When those pirates heard you were coming, they couldn't return our supplies fast enough." "What about the plague outbreak?" Elena asked. "Under control now that we have medicine again," Dr. Adams replied. "You saved thousands of lives just by showing up." Elena felt strange about this. They hadn't fired a shot or used any medical equipment as weapons. They had won just by being feared. "Carl," Elena said, "what can you tell me about the pirates? Are they all criminals, or are some of them just desperate people?" Carl thought for a moment. "Honestly, most of them were miners who lost their jobs when the big companies brought in robots. There's not much honest work out here in the Outer Rim." Elena nodded. She had an idea, but she needed to talk to Captain Morrison first. Back on the sanctuary, Elena found Morrison in his office, writing a report about their mission. "Jake," she said, "I want to propose something that might sound crazy." Morrison looked up with interest. "I'm listening." "What if we started a program? We trained former pirates to work on medical ships. Give them honest jobs instead of just hunting them down." Morrison leaned back in his chair. "That's actually not a bad idea. We're always short on crew members. Who can handle dangerous situations? And pirates already know how to fight," Elena added. "We could train them to protect patients instead of robbing them." Morrison smiled. "Dr. Elena Martinez, you never stop surprising me." The next day, Elena met with Maria Santos and 12 other pirates who wanted to change their lives. They came aboard the sanctuary nervous and scared, expecting to be arrested. Instead, Elena gave them a tour of the medical bays and explained how the ship worked. "This is where we treat patients," Elena told them. "Everyone who comes here gets help, no matter who they are or where they come from." A big man named Pete raised his hand. "Even pirates?" "Even pirates," Elena confirmed. "If you were hurt, I would fix you up just like anyone else." Maria looked around the clean, bright medical bay. "It's so different from our ships." "Everything here is about helping people. That's the point," Elena said. "But helping people sometimes means fighting the ones who want to hurt them. That's where you come in." Over the next week, Elena and her crew trained the former pirates in basic medical skills and ship security. They learned how to move patients safely, how to operate medical equipment, and how to protect the ship without hurting innocent people. Tony Garcia taught them about the ship's systems. "Every tool on this ship can save a life," he explained. "But in the right hands, those same tools can stop bad guys from hurting patients." Beth Collins showed them how to care for different alien species. "A vegan's heart is in a different place than a human's," she explained. "And Altarians can't take the same medicines we can." Amy Chun taught them navigation and tactics. "The key is to avoid fights when possible," she said. "But when you can't avoid them, you have to win fast and clean." At the end of the week, Elena gathered all the former pirates in the main meeting room. "You have a choice to make," she told them. "You can go back to your old lives, stealing and hiding. Or you can stay here and become something better." Maria Santos stood up. "Dr. Martinez, if we stay, what happens to us?" "You become part of the crew," Elena said. "You get paid honest wages. You help save lives. And you help protect other medical ships from pirates who haven't learned what you've learned." All 12 former pirates chose to stay. 6 months later, the sanctuary was not just a hospital ship anymore. It was a training center for what people called medical defense specialists, former criminals who had become protectors of healers. Elena stood on the bridge, watching their latest group of trainees practice emergency procedures. These were former smugglers who had asked for a chance to change their lives. "It's working," Captain Morrison said, joining her at the window. "Pirate attacks on medical ships are down by 70%. And we've trained crews for 8 other hospital ships." Elena smiled. Little Zara's death wasn't meaningless after all. Morrison looked at her with respect. "You've changed more than just this ship, Elena. You've changed how the galaxy thinks about the balance between healing and protecting." Elena watched as Maria Santos, now wearing the blue uniform of a medical defense specialist, helped a young Centauri patient with his physical therapy. The same hands that had once stolen medicine were now helping to heal. "Maybe that's what we were supposed to do all along," Elena said. "Not just heal the sick, but heal the broken parts of society too." A new message came in from another medical ship requesting training assistance. Elena smiled and told Lisa to send a reply. The galaxy was slowly learning that humans didn't just make good doctors and fierce fighters. They made excellent teachers too. And sometimes, the best way to stop your enemies was to help them become your friends. The sanctuary continued its journey through the stars, carrying not just patients and medical supplies, but hope for a better future where healers and protectors worked together to keep the innocent safe.